The unexpected challenger. The vast expanse of space surrounding the Zendarian command station Proxima Prime shimmered with defensive arrays and patrol vessels. For over 3 millennia, the Zendarian Empire had reigned supreme across 7 galactic sectors, their technological prowess unchallenged, and their military might feared by all species unfortunate enough to draw their attention. High Marshal Drex Vorton stood on the observation platform, his elongated violet eyes surveying what he considered the perfect embodiment of Zendarian superiority. His golden-scaled skin caught the light from nearby monitors as his secondary breathing gills fluttered with satisfaction. Another century of expansion successfully completed, he remarked to his second-in-command, Strategic Director Nix. The outer territories have all submitted their tribute vessels ahead of schedule. Nix nodded, her ceremonial head crest extending slightly in agreement. The containment protocol for the humans remains effective, High Marshal. Their system continues to show minimal technological development. Our assessment division maintains they'll require at least 3 more centuries before achieving meaningful interstellar capabilities. The Zendarians had discovered Earth nearly 50 years earlier, but found the planet and its inhabitants too primitive to warrant full conquest. Instead, they implemented their standard procedure for developing species: observation, containment, and eventual subjugation when the species reached a certain technological threshold. Humanity had been deemed particularly unworthy, emotional, fractious, and inefficient in their scientific progress. Their psychological profile indicates a certain stubbornness, Nix continued, reviewing the data on her neural interface, but nothing that will threaten the Empire. The conversation might have continued along these predictable lines if not for the sudden wail of proximity alarms throughout the station. The command center erupted into activity as technicians scrambled to identify the source. Unidentified vessel approaching at high velocity, called out technical operator Zal, his sensory tendrils rippling with concern. It's bypassed our outer detection grid. Impossible, Vorton snapped, moving swiftly to the central command platform. Nothing penetrates Zendarian detection systems without authorization. The main holographic display activated, projecting a 3-dimensional image of a vessel unlike any in Imperial records. Its design defied Zendarian aesthetic and engineering principles, angular in some sections, curved in others, with surface materials that seemed to absorb sensor scans rather than reflect them. Origin, demanded Vortons. Zal's manipulators worked frantically across the control surfaces. Unknown, but High Marshal, there's an identification marker. It's in a language our systems recognize as human. A collective silence fell over the command center. Vorton's secondary eyelids blinked rapidly in disbelief. Humans here, with technology capable of bypassing our detection grid. The disbelief in his voice mirrored the sentiment rippling through the command staff. This violates every assessment model in our records. Opening communication channel, announced Nix, maintaining the calm efficiency expected of a strategic director despite the unprecedented situation. The holographic display shifted to reveal the interior of the human vessel. A figure sat in what appeared to be a command chair, dressed in what the Zendarians would later learn was a standard-issue Terran Defense Force uniform. There was nothing particularly imposing about the human's appearance, no enhanced biology, no augmentations visible to Zendarian scanners. Yet something in the human's steady gaze caused Vorton's spine ridge to stiffen. "This is Commander Talon Reed of the Earth vessel Thunderbolt," the human stated without preamble. "Your Empire is currently holding 3 of our scientific research ships and their crews against established interstellar conventions. We've come to retrieve them." Vorton fought to maintain his composure. "Human, you have violated sovereign Zendarian space. Your vessel will be impounded and your crew processed according to Imperial protocols." "Scan us," Reed replied simply. Nix nodded to Zal, who initiated a comprehensive scan of the human vessel. As the results populated across his control panel, the technical operator's natural blue coloration paled noticeably. "High Marshal," he said in a hushed tone, "their shielding technology, it's operating on principles our systems can't even classify, and their power source." He looked up, mandibles quivering slightly. "It exceeds anything in our databases." Vorton refused to show the growing unease that was building within him. One vessel, no matter how technologically advanced, cannot challenge the might of the Zendarian Empire. Commander Reed's expression remained unchanged. "We were hoping you'd say something like that." A slight pause. Now might be a good time to check your long-range sensors. With a gesture from Vorton, the display split to show the space surrounding Proxima Prime. Where moments before had been empty void monitored by Imperial patrols, now dozens, no, hundreds of similar human vessels were appearing, seemingly materializing from nowhere. Cloaking technology, whispered Nyx, her professional demeanor finally cracking. They've mastered mass cloaking. We could have arrived with our entire fleet, Reed continued. We could have struck without warning or negotiation. Instead, we're offering you a choice. Release our people and acknowledge humanity's sovereign status in this galaxy, or discover precisely why containment was the worst decision your empire ever made. The command center erupted into chaos as reports flooded in from patrol vessels encountering human ships throughout the sector. Vorton silenced them with a raised hand, his mind racing through strategic options that were rapidly dwindling. How, he finally asked, genuine curiosity overcoming his imperial training. How did your species advance so rapidly? Our assessments were based on what we wanted you to see, Reed interrupted. Your observation posts monitored exactly what we allowed them to monitor. While your empire was busy congratulating itself on its superiority, humanity was preparing. Preparing for what? Nyx asked. Reed leaned forward slightly. To ensure that when we finally stepped onto the galactic stage, no one would ever mistake us for easy prey again. Tactical Officer Jex approached Vorton, speaking quietly but urgently. High Marshal, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from their vessels. If those are weapon systems, he left the implication hanging. Vorton had served the Empire for over 2 centuries. He had overseen the subjugation of 12 species and the complete eradication of 2 others that had dared to resist. Never before had he faced a situation where surrender seemed the rational choice, yet the evidence before him was undeniable. Release the human research vessels, he ordered, his voice steady despite the unprecedented command. And prepare a communication channel to the Imperial Council. It seems we have diplomatic matters to discuss. As the detained human ships were escorted from Proxima Prime's docking bays, Strategic Director Nyx approached Vorton privately. This changes everything, she murmured. The Council will not react well to this development. Vorton watched the impassive face of Commander Reed on the display. No, he agreed, they won't. But perhaps that's precisely what our empire needs, a reminder that the galaxy still holds surprises even for the mighty Xandarians. On the bridge of the Thunderbolt, Commander Reed maintained a professional demeanor until the communication channel closed. Only then did the facade crack, revealing the tension that had been building throughout the confrontation. Status of the fleet, Reed asked. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen, tactical officer of the Thunderbolt, allowed himself a small smile. All vessels report ready status, Commander. The Xandarians are clearly in disarray. And our peoples? Being transferred as we speak. First reports indicate they're in good condition despite their captivity. Reed nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, by challenging one of its oldest and most powerful empires. This is just the beginning, Reed said quietly, looking out at the stars beyond the view screen. Today we've shown them we cannot be ignored. Tomorrow we'll show them we cannot be stopped. As the human fleet prepared to depart Xandarian space with their rescued comrades, none of them could fully grasp how this single encounter would reshape galactic politics for millennia to come. The age of Xandarian dominance was ending, and a new era, one where humanity would play a central role, was just beginning. The dawn of a new era. The return of Commander Talon Reed and the Thunderbolt fleet to Earth Orbital Command was met with cautious celebration. The central command hub of Orbital Defense Platform Alpha buzzed with activity as military and political leaders gathered to receive the full briefing on humanity's first major confrontation with the Xandarian Empire. Admiral Harlow Blackwood, Supreme Commander of the Terran Defense Force, stood with his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the Thunderbolt dock. His weathered face, marked by decades of service, revealed little of his thoughts, but those who knew him well could sense his pride. They actually backed down, remarked General Octavia Drake, head of Terran Intelligence. Her dark eyes narrowed as she reviewed the incoming data streams. The mighty Xandarians retreating without firing a single shot. Don't mistake tactical withdrawal for defeat, Blackwood cautioned. We've revealed our hand now, the element of surprise is gone. As Commander Reed entered the briefing chamber, the assembled leaders rose in acknowledgement. The room contained not just military officers, but representatives from the United Earth government and the scientific division responsible for humanity's technological leap. Commander Reed, Blackwood began, your mission reports have been received, but I think we all want to hear your personal assessment of the Zendarian response. Reed moved to the central display, activating the holographic recreation of the standoff at Proxima Prime. They were genuinely shocked, sir. Our intelligence on their psychological patterns proved accurate. Their entire imperial structure is built on technological superiority. When that foundation was threatened, their command hierarchy faltered. Dr. Jorvan Nakamura, lead scientist of Project Ascension, stepped forward. The elderly physicist had spearheaded humanity's covert technological revolution for over 20 years. And the cloaking fields, did they perform as expected in proximity to their detection grids? Better than expected, Reed confirmed. The quantum displacement array maintained complete invisibility until we chose to reveal ourselves. Their scanners registered nothing until that moment. The discussion continued as strategic analysts debated the implications of this first contact. The return of the 3 captured research vessels, with their crews thankfully unharmed, had been the primary objective, but everyone in the room understood this was merely the opening move in a much larger game. President Eleanor Winters, who had joined via secure holographic link, finally spoke. What we've done cannot be undone. After 50 years of careful planning and secrecy, humanity has revealed itself as a major player in galactic affairs. The question now is, what comes next? Reed exchanged glances with Admiral Blackwood before responding. Madam President, our intelligence suggests the Zendarian Empire will not accept this new reality without resistance. They've already begun recalling their fleet from the outer territories. They're preparing for war, Drake added bluntly. The revelation hung heavy in the air. Humanity had hoped for peaceful recognition, but had prepared for conflict. Then we must be ready, President Winters stated firmly. But we will not strike first. Humanity will defend itself and its allies, but we will not become conquerors. In the weeks that followed, the true scope of humanity's preparations became evident even to ordinary citizens. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system revealed massive fleets that had been constructed in secret. Defensive platforms emerged from camouflaged positions in asteroid belts and planetoid orbits. Earth's colonies on Mars, Europa, and throughout the outer system shifted from civilian appearances to their true nature as military outposts. For decades, while Zendarian observers monitored what they believed was a primitive civilization struggling with basic interplanetary travel, humanity had been orchestrating the greatest deception in galactic history. The seemingly disorganized, competing nations of Earth had actually united in secret following the first detection of alien technology 50 years earlier. The quantum displacement technology, allowing objects to exist partially outside normal spacetime, rendering them invisible to conventional detection, had been humanity's breakthrough. Developed by Dr. Nakamura and his team after studying a crashed Zendarian scout ship, it had provided the shield behind which humanity prepared. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news of a previously unknown species challenging the Zendarian Empire spread rapidly. Species long oppressed by Zendarian rule watched with keen interest. Among them were the crystalline Lyrians, the methane-breathing Volter Collective, and the ancient Dravid Confederacy, all one-sprout civilizations reduced to vassal states. On the Zendarian throne world of Zendar Prime, Emperor Kha'Zix's XII convened an emergency session of the Imperial Council. The vast amphitheater, carved from living crystal, hosted representatives from every major house of the empire. This human insolence cannot stand, declared War Minister Traz, pounding his armored fist against the podium. We must crush them immediately before other subject species get ideas. High Marshal Vorton, recalled from Proxima Prime, stood to address the council. I advise caution, War Minister. These humans possess technology that rivals or exceeds our own. A direct assault would result in significant imperial losses. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Zendarians had not faced a technological equal in thousands of years. Are you suggesting we negotiate with these newcomers? Traz's voice dripped with contempt. I am suggesting we assess our opponent fully before committing to a course of action that may weaken the Empire, Vorton replied evenly. Emperor Kha'Zix, his ancient scaled form draped in ceremonial armor, raised a clawed hand for silence. The Empire has faced challengers before. None have prevailed. These humans will learn their place as all others have. The declaration was met with thunderous approval from most of the council, but Strategic Director Nix noticed the troubled expressions of the science and intelligence ministers. They, like her, had reviewed the data from the encounter at Proxima Prime. They understood what the others refused to acknowledge. The Empire faced something unprecedented. 3 days later, a Zendarian battle group launched a surprise attack on the human outpost at Caspian Nebula. What was intended as a show of force became a disaster for Imperial forces when the seemingly lightly defended research station revealed advanced weapon systems that disabled the Zendarian vessels without destroying them. Commander Reed, now promoted to fleet captain, personally led the boarding party onto the Zendarian command ship. There he confronted Battle Commander Zyrex with evidence that shocked even the hardened Imperial officer: detailed records of Zendarian atrocities against dozens of species throughout the galaxy. This information will be transmitted across all communication channels, Reed informed him. Every subject species in your empire will see the truth of their benevolent rulers. You would incite chaos across 7 sectors, Zyrex asked incredulously. We would offer freedom to those you've enslaved, Reed corrected, and alliance with Earth to any who seek it. The Caspian incident, as it came to be known, marked the true beginning of the conflict that historians would later call the Liberation War. As promised, humanity broadcast the Zendarian records throughout the galaxy, sparking uprisings across the Empire. Many of the subjugated species had maintained secret resistance movements for centuries, awaiting any opportunity to break free from Imperial control. What the Zendarians had not anticipated was humanity's diplomatic initiative. Even as they prepared for military conflict, Earth representatives traveled to worlds throughout the Empire, offering technology, resources, and defensive pacts. The unified Earth government presented itself not as conquerors, but as liberators and equals. On Zendar Prime, Emperor Kha'Zix faced the first internal challenge to imperial authority in millennia. Several noble houses, recognizing the changing galactic landscape, called for negotiation rather than continued conflict. When these voices were silenced by imperial decree, civil unrest spread even to the throne world itself. The final confrontation came not through a massive space battle as many had expected, but through revolution within the Empire itself. As rebellions spread across Zendarian holdings, Strategic Director Nyx, now allied with a coalition of reform-minded nobles, orchestrated a coup that deposed Emperor Kha'Zix. 6 months after the initial standoff at Proxima Prime, representatives from Earth, the reformed Zendarian leadership, and 23 formerly subjugated species gathered on the neutral world of Terra Nova. There, they signed the Galactic Concord, a treaty establishing new principles of interstellar relations based on sovereignty, technological exchange, and mutual defense. As Fleet Captain Reed stood on the observation deck of the Thunderbolt, watching the delegations depart for their homeworlds, Admiral Blackwood joined him. "Not exactly how we expected this to play out," the Admiral remarked. Reed nodded thoughtfully. One warship changed everything, not through its weapons but by showing that the impossible was possible. "Then now we build something better than an empire," Reed replied, gazing at the stars. "The Zendarians ruled through fear and technological dominance. Humanity will lead through cooperation and innovation." As news of the Galactic Concord spread throughout known space, species previously unknown to either humans or Zendarians began to make contact, drawn by rumors of a new power that had challenged the old order. The galaxy was awakening to new possibilities, new alliances, and new threats lurking in the darkness between the stars. Humanity had announced its presence to the cosmos not just as another spacefaring species, but as a harbinger of transformation. The age of empires was ending. What would replace it remained to be written in the stars. On Earth, as citizens celebrated the peaceful resolution to what many had feared would be a devastating war, Dr. Nakamura and his team already looked to the future. The quantum displacement technology that had given humanity its edge was just the beginning. New frontiers of science beckoned, promising advancements that would redefine what was possible. "We stood our ground," Fleet Captain Reed said softly to himself as the last diplomatic vessels departed, "and the universe changed." Little did he know how prophetic those words would prove to be in the centuries to come.